I know a lot of people are stuck at home now and you know, can't get very far outside their houses. So I just thought over the next while I'd point out some plants that could potentially be growing around you in your gardens or in parks next door to where you live. So some nice wild foods and medicines that you could get out and harvest and get into your body. So we're here in a little laneway with a patch of woodland behind, and there's some lovely wild garlic, some Ramsons growing here. A lot of people will know this, but there is a couple of plants that are sometimes called wild garlic. This one, which I would call Ramsons, sometimes gets referred to as wild garlic, and then also there is the three-cornered leek. So that's another one with a narrower stem, and it's in flower more at the moment. The wild garlic hasn't quite yet come to flower. You see in some places the small little buds are starting to develop, but they will open up into white flowers also. So the wild garlic leaf, this has a wide shaped leaf, long pointed lanceolate shaped leaf, and one way that's really easy to distinguish what it is just crush it and smell it. I mean, often when you come near a wild garlic woodland you'll actually smell it before you'll see it, so it is very pungent and really aromatic. So it's great medicine that's coming up at the moment. It's full of compounds that are going to help to protect against colds, flus, viruses, that kind of thing, keep the immune system strong. The way that it works, it specifically will work well in the digestive system and in the respiratory system. So it's going to kind of help keep clear from infections in those systems particularly. So it contains sulfur compounds similar to your normal shop-bought garlic. And also in onions, and the way those compounds work, they move through the lungs, so the aromatic compounds will move through the lungs and they'll help to clear and protect against infection there. So yeah, and it's really delicious, and lots of things that you can do with it. You could harvest it for food. Yeah, wild garlic pesto is really delicious. That's one of my favorite ways to use it. You can also ferment it. You can do kind of a version of sauerkraut with it, so you can make a lacto fermentation by adding some salt and squeezing it, getting the juices going, and putting it down underneath its own juices to ferment. That's a really good way to preserve it for a bit longer. You can also dehydrate it, which I have some dried at home now at the moment as well, and you can powder that then to use as a seasoning on your food. So lots of ways that you can play around with preserving it. So yeah, great for the immune system. It's also very awakening for the system. So after the period of winter that we're just coming out of, our bodies have been in a kind of a more stagnant state. We've been more passive. The nights are longer, we're inside more of the time, and so when this time of year comes around, it's important to get out, to get active, and to munching on the wild foods that are coming up like this really helps to activate the system and get all the systems moving again. So one of the names for wild garlic is known as bear's garlic, and in Cherokee medicine there's a group of plants that would be referred to as bear medicine, and things like osha root in the Americas and there are others. And in Ireland we don't necessarily use those terms, but we can use those principles to apply to the plants that we have here. So plants like angelica root would have very similar properties to the osha root in activating all the systems. The garlic would be the same. It's breaking up the stagnation of winter and getting our systems moving again for the springtime. So at this time when we're all in lockdown and we're not getting to get out and be as active as we can, I think it's more important than ever that we try and get some time outside, get some exercise, eat some foods that are going to activate the system and get the system moving, to try and break up some of the stagnations of winter. And I just want to show you just over on the other side here, because there's another plant, just to be careful with the wild garlic, this plant is called Lords and Ladies Cuckoo Pint, and it often grows amongst the wild garlic. So this is a poisonous plant, so it's important to note the differences here. So you can see the leaf shape is quite different to the wild garlic. This is the Lords and Ladies Cuckoo Pint here. It has an arrow-shaped leaf. That's one of the main distinguishing features that you can see that's different. And also the veination on the leaf is different than the wild garlic. The wild garlic, you can see all the veins run parallel, and here they're forked, moving out from the central vein. So once you get to know and you can see it, you can see that it is quite different, but it's important to to take care. So when you're harvesting your wild garlic, you know, come and, you know, try to pick as carefully as possible. Don't, some people might want to come and, you know, cut a lot, but that way it's quite easy to get in something like this. This is quite a large one, but sometimes you'll see the lords and ladies will be quite young and tender underneath, and you might not see it and accidentally pick it with your wild garlic. So always pick your leaves quite carefully, and make sure you know exactly what you're and that you've identified your plant correctly before you harvest, as always with foraging any wild foods. These little flower buds that are about to open can actually be harvested as well and picked, and I've seen these being pickled. It's not something I've done before, but I've harvested some today to try that, so I'm going to give that a go as well. And also they do actually produce a bulb underneath as well, but I would tend not to harvest the bulb. There's just so much nutrition in the leaves. I leave the bulb so that the plant can regenerate again. So yeah, so that's the wild garlic, and I hope that you can get out and harvest some sometime soon. Yeah, my mum who's the camera woman here, is just reminding me to you know, to remind you not to pick from the ground here, and to maybe, you can see on this side there's like an elevated bank here, so that just prevents that. So if any dogs have been walking along, that you're not getting any dog pee contamination on your wild garlic. So I always try and pick from an elevated area, or if it's in a woodland and it's a really wild space, I'll just go in off the path a little bit to somewhere where it looks like no one has been treaded there. So yeah, happy foraging everyone, and I hope you're all doing okay, and I hope you get some time to get outside and get some green goodness in you, because the plants can really help us on many levels at this time, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually as well, to align with the forces of the earth. So thanks very much.